The binomial expansion of 1 plus kx to the power of n is given by 1 plus 12x plus 28k squared x squared, etc., where n is a positive integer. Find n and k. Okay, so before we do that, I want to just remind everyone the binomial expansion in general. So in general, binomial expansion goes like this. It's going to be n choose 1 times kx plus n choose 2 k squared x squared, and so on. And so what does this tell us? This tells us that n choose 1 times k is equal to 12. And of course, n choose 1 is just the same as n. So that means n times k is equal to 12, right? Because the coefficient in our binomial expansion that we were given gives us 12 as this coefficient of x. And the coefficient in the general formula is n choose 1, or n, times k. Okay, then let's come up with a second equation. Here we have k squared x squared. Here we also have k squared x squared. So this tells us that n choose 2 must be equal to 28. Now, the problem with the first equation is it has both n and k, but in the second equation, we just have n, so we can actually solve to find n using that equation there. Okay, so what is n choose 2? Well, by definition, n choose 2 is just going to be n times n minus 1 over 2, so that's equal to 28. That means that n squared minus n is equal to 56, and that means that n squared minus n minus 56 is equal to 0. So now we can either solve this by using the quadratic formula or by factoring. I'm going to use factoring here, but either method will work. What are two numbers that multiply to negative 56 and add to negative n? Well, that'd be negative 8 and positive 7. So n minus 8 times n plus 7 is equal to 0. That means n is either equal to 8 or negative 7. But if we go back to our definition up here, it says that n must be a positive integer. And 8 is the only positive integer here. This is a negative integer, so we could say this n is not a positive integer, so therefore not applicable to the situation. Okay. All right, so now that we know that n is equal to 8, what must k be equal to? Well, going back to here, we saw that n times k is 12. That means 8 times k must be 12, which means k is 12 over 8, which is the same as 3 over 2. So those are our final answers, that n is equal to 8 and that k is equal to 3 over 2.